Hello everyone, welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. Today's card is one that I was making a couple of weeks ago. I belong to a group of demonstrators across Canada and we have a team event once every quarter, and we invite all the members of our teams, and there are over 300, and we just have a full day of crafting, and each of the team leaders, we choose a design or a theme, and we all make the same sort of cards. And the theme this time was to case yourself, to copy and share something that you've made before. And this is the layout that Desiree Spenst used, and she's one of the team leaders, and this was hers. And I thought it was such a cute little layout that I would show you how to make it today. And it was inspired by hers. It's not exactly the same as hers, but I will be showing on my Facebook Live a couple of other ways how to make this card too. So just different designs. So make sure that on Tuesday evening you sort of go onto my Crafts by the Bow Facebook page. It's not on my blog, it will be on my Facebook page, but it's still called Crafts by the Bow. Okay, so to start off, I used the Flowing Flowers stamp set, which is in the new mini catalogue. I used a pack of the ribbons. These come as a 2-pack with Misty Moonlight and Petal Pink. And I used some of the paper. Let me just get the paper out. It's this Heart and Home set where the backings are all like a shiplap or a wood design. And you can see I've not got much left of the first pack, so I've actually bought a second pack ready. And I'm going to be using this design, the blue and white one, with, you know, just like the timber, it isn't planks of wood, hasn't got the lines between, it's just a plain timber page. So they're the things that I'm going to use. And if you check my blog later on today, all the measurements will be on there. So you don't need to worry about writing them down. So the very first thing I need is my base card, and I used Smoky Slate on this one. So I've got just half a sheet of cardstock, and it measures 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. And you can see I've got a little sort of blemish on here. I think I ran it past an ink pad. But for today, it doesn't matter because I'm going to be putting something over the front so nobody will see it. Let's just fold and burnish this. And then I need, let me just find them, here we are. I need a backing layer, and you can leave this layer plain, but I actually like the look of it embossed. So I got a few of my embossing folders out and I just ran them all through to see what I liked best. I really like this timber one, but because I'm using timber type paper, it was just a bit too matchy-matchy. So on this one, I used that textile one. Let me just get them out and show you. This is what I've looked at. I used the Tasteful Textiles. I've got one with the painted texture. This was the timber one, and the type 1, what is it called? Type 1 type or something. And the other one I had out was the Hive 3D embossing. I think this is time 1 type. Some of them are just a bit too busy. I love this little beehivey look, but it's just too busy for this card, and so was this one. And so I'm going to use this time 1 type. I think that's quite a pretty one. You won't see much of it. You don't see much of the writing or anything. It's just to have that sort of a background textile to it. So I've already got that, and I'm going to attach it on here, but first I'm going to put my Designer Series paper on. And the paper is just cut in one piece, and as I said, all the measurements will be on my blog, but this is actually cut to 3 1/4 by 4 1/8. If you're using a paper, just check the orientation. You need the shortest measurement across the top, so just make sure your paper's going the right way. Okay, and I'm just going to cut these at 1 3/8. I need 3 strips, so 1, 2, 3/8. Just need 3 strips. Whoops, I moved that, sorry. There we go. If you are using a paper with an orientation, it might make a difference how it sort of lines up on the card as well. For mine, it doesn't matter, but if it's a sort of a true pattern and you would tell if it wasn't in place, then just make sure that when you put it on your card, you've got it in the right order. But for mine, it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to attach these onto the embossed piece, and I want to choose mine so that I'll see some of the features. So you won't see much, but I might as well have a piece where I can see a little bit of pattern or something. So I'm not putting mine in the correct order, but that won't matter for now. Okay, so I'm just going to attach these. If it's a heavily embossed piece, you may find that it needs a little bit more glue, or tear and tape would be a good one to put on. Just depends how deep the pattern is. These were 3D embossing folders, so you know they're going to be fairly deep. But the Time 1 Type 1, it seems to stick on quite easily. Okay, so I'm going to turn it round. That isn't quite in the middle, so I'm just going to move it along a little bit. I want it to be so that I've got the same space left and right. There we go. That's better. And then I'm going to put the bottom one on. And whenever I'm doing something like this, I always do top, then bottom, and then the middle one. So it doesn't matter if there's a little tiny change in the spacing, if it's the middle one. But you can really tell if it's the top or the bottom that's not quite aligned. It's just easy to do top and bottom, and then come back and pop the middle one in between. That way you don't have to really focus too much on making them level. Okay, now while that dries, we'll do our little piece of stamping. I've got a smaller little card here, which is only 2 3/4 by 3 1/2, I think. And I've got a little piece of scratch paper because I know I'm going to stamp off the edges. And I've already popped my stamps onto blocks, and I've got my petal pink ink. And you can see it's sort of a bit faded, this one. It's because I used to keep them on my desk in the window, and the sun just faded this. It doesn't affect the inside, it's just the outside looks a bit faded. Okay, I'm just going to check that this is Stampin' Up okay. Yeah. You could make this any colour you wanted. I just wanted mine to match the ribbon. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that one on. It looks quite dark at the moment, and that's fine. I have only just re-inked this up. I'm going to pop a little bit of the floral image here and a bit at the top. And it's the same way that I stamped one of my other cards. You might remember one of the very first pieces I stamped with this, and I stamped in Poppy Parade, and I was putting these in the middle of some of my cards. Oops, it's just exactly the same layout. So just stamp my sentiment. Let's make sure that this piece is straight. And I'm going to stamp my sentiment just down a little bit. Hope that it's straight. It's difficult to see when I'm videoing because normally I stand over the top to do my sentiments and things just to make sure it's straight. But if I did that, all you would see would be the top of my head. So it's not a pretty sight. Okay, and then while that piece is drying, I'm just going to make my ribbon. So I'm using the petal pink one. And I'm going to make it a double ribbon. So all I'm going to do is use my little ribbon bow maker and fold the piece over. Just check that that's enough. No, I need a little bit more. So never quite know how much you need until you come to tie it. But if you don't have a bone folder, you know, you can make this with the tines of a fork, I'm going to make it even bigger. So the tines of a fork, you could do, I used to do one on, you remember those really wide tooth combs that you could get? I had a broken one of those and I kept that for tying ribbons round. That worked really well. Or you can even just tie it with your fingers with little bunny ear loops. As long as you've got your two pieces of ribbon together, that would work. This is probably going to be a bit too long now, but that's okay. And just tying it, making sure I've got a nice little tail at each side. It's quite nice ribbon to tie this. It's not sort of shiny or silky smooth, so it doesn't move much after you've tied the bow. I just need to pull those tails down a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to cut through there. I know that that will be too long at the moment. Okay, and then I'm just going to pull these little inside pieces out so you can see it's got extra loops. There we go. Okay, and pop that on one side, and we can, this is all nice and dry, so we can start to assemble this. Ooh, while I've got the ink out, actually, I'll just go back. I'm going to stamp something for the inside, just one of these flowers, just so that it's got something that matches a little bit. Let's see, I won't stamp the big one, I'll stamp the smaller ones. Yeah, let's just pop these on. Okay, and then I'm going to put just a little bit down the side, just like that as well, just so that there's a little bit on there. Okay. And then we can pop that one inside, and let's just do this with a quick tape runner, just with Stampin' Seal. I've started to use a lot of the Stampin' Seal Plus for my 3D projects, but also I've started to use my tear and tape a little bit more. And I'm finding that that's working really well for me. I know that it attaches really quickly, and it's easy just to tear off the exact size you need. You've got no glue squidging out, so I'm quite liking that at the moment. I've been making quite a few journals, and for the journals it's working perfectly. I'm just having a look at this writing. I don't know if there's an upside down and a right way around to it. I don't know that you can tell. I don't think there's any difference. I don't think anybody's actually going to be looking that closely either. Okay, so there's the base. If you wanted to, you could always pop this up on dimensionals. I'm going to put this piece on dimensionals, but you could have this glued flat down and put this piece on dimensionals instead. Okay, just going to pop a few on the back. What I love about this layout, it's a really fast one, and you could use a stamped image, you could use just designer series paper for the front. So you could just use designer series paper and put a little sentiment on. You don't have to do a stamped item as well. It's not what you don't really need that. Lots of different ways to interpret this. Okay, so my ribbon is going to go down here. I'm going to put a glue dot on the back. Now these glue dots, they're a little bit older, and I found that they're not quite so sticky. So I might have to put more than one on. I'm just going to put one on there to start with. You see, it's sticking on my finger, but it's not sticking on the ribbons quite so quick. And I think it's just because I've had them a long time. So, okay. Right, let's see how long these tails need to be. I might even glue some of them down. I do like this extended tail, but we don't need them so that they're sticking off the card. Let's have a look. I'm going to trim this one down a little bit. It's still a little bit long. There we go. pop those bits. That wasn't too much that we wasted actually. So if you wanted these to stay in place, you could put another little glue dot underneath as well. I'm not going to, because they're sitting quite nicely. And then last of all, I'm just going to put some kind of a little embellishment on. On this one, I popped one of the little brass butterflies out of the mini catalogue, which I quite like. These little polished dots are the same colour, so they would look pretty too. The elegant faceted gems, they're sort of a good colour for there as well. But I don't want too big an embellishment on it. So, and they're all big pieces. So I think I'm going to use these little polished dots, the clear ones. I'm going to pop a couple just over here on this set of flowers. And then I'm going to put, whoops, couldn't see where it was then. And then I'm just going to pop one down here as well. And so there we are. Such a nice, easy, quick layout. And, you know, the designer series paper can be the star, or your stamping can be the focus. So there we go. And on Tuesday evening, I will show some different ways with this layout, different things that you can do where perhaps you're not doing a stamped image like this on the front, maybe just a sentiment. So thanks for watching, everybody. I know it was a quick video, but it's a really fast little layout. Thanks again. Take care, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.